I didn't think that I was going to have time to do another video again, back to back with the one that I just did, but I guess I did. I made it happen, and today's video is going to be so much fun. Baddies, thank you so much for always coming back and watching my videos. Without further ado, let's get into it. Besitos! Before we get started on today's tutorial, I have to show you this gorgeous sunflower bundle I dropped on my website this morning in case you want to grab it. It's got 3 correlating matching vinyl patterns, and then it has 5 UV DTF decals that you can use on your tumblers. They're super cute and everything matches perfectly. I also include these gorgeous 4 glitter colors that I handpicked myself. Honestly, it takes me hours to put my bundles together because I make sure that everything matches perfectly. Now, this is available on my website now. If you guys want to snag it before it sells out, you can use discount code YouTube to save 10%. And as always, thank you so much for supporting Baddie Glitter. Let's get into this tutorial. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use some tape to plan out my lines. Now, I do want to tell you, baddies, I'm out of practice filming YouTube videos, so I accidentally started filming the tape already on the cup and forgot to hit record. That's why the cup is already started, but no big deal, no big deal. Ziggy ziggy zoo. We're gonna go ahead and start filming from this point forward. Okay, I'm gonna get back in practice. I promise. Well, let's be honest, even when I'm in practice, I make a ton of mistakes, but it's all good. It is all good. We're going to go ahead and make it work anyway. Now, I am using 1-inch painter's tape, and the pink electric tape is a little bit smaller than 1 inch. So I like that it's alternating the size of the lines. Now, something that I thought would be super cute if you want to get unique and creative with the cup that we're going to make is instead of doing the lines vertical the way that I'm doing them, you could always apply them at an angle, curving around the cup like in a Milky Way pattern. I also think that would be really cute. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are Harry Potter fans or not, but I feel like you don't even have to be a Harry Potter fan to be absolutely in love with this cup. Well, maybe if you're not a Harry Potter fan, the chocolate frog won't make sense to you. But overall, this is a super cute design. This original design was created by Melanie. She is the owner of Dimensional Drinks. She inspired this design. I also got the frog from her website. The amazing thing is that before Dimensional Drinks, you had to sculpt your own accessories for your cups. Now, I don't know about you, but I know for sure that I cannot sculpt a frog. I know that I can. I can't even sculpt my boogers into perfect circles. You think I'm going to be able to sculpt a frog? Absolutely not. So I like the fact that she has made it easier for us to create and use those accessories from her website. So I will link it in the description and give you a discount code that you can use if you want to recreate this cup. And I'll show you the frog that we're going to use in just a few moments. First, we're going to glitter our tumbler. Now, this is pretty basic. That's why I haven't really been explaining what I've been doing. I just removed the painter's tape to reveal the bigger sections, and then I painted them blue. It's actually more like a mint blue, like a sky blue. You baddies know I tell you this every time, but I'm never going to get tired of telling you. I always base paint my glitter, always. If I'm going to do pink glitter, I paint it pink. If you are someone who just puts glitter over a white base, that is completely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I just know that the glitter pops more and is more vibrant when you paint the base the color that matches the glitter. So I will always be a girly that base paints her glitter. So I went ahead and I used Eros for this cup. Eros matches this perfectly. It is on my website if you guys want to snag it when you grab your sunflower bundle. And the pink that I used was Paris. I think these 2 colors combined are the perfect shade for this particular design, which we're doing HoneyDukes sweets. I am super excited. Now, baddies, I always seal my glitter 3 times with spray adhesive before I go in with epoxy. So just keep that in mind because I didn't film that part. Now, what I did at the bottom was I put a dot in the center, and then I used a ruler to create the design matching and lining up with all the stripes that I had put on the cup. Now, keep in mind that one of my pink sections is going to be a lot bigger than the other ones because the pink section that's on the handle part is a lot wider. So that's why my bottom part doesn't look perfectly symmetrical, but that's fine. It doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, you can just do it symmetrical, but I was trying to match up the size of the stripes that I put on the cup. And then I just used markers that I had because I felt too lazy to grab paint brushes and paint it. So all I did was grab markers that matched the glitter colors, and I went ahead and filled it in. I thought it was a lot easier and faster to do it this way, but you guys can do it whatever way is easiest for you. And then I just took a flat edge brush and some Mod Podge, and I glittered the bottom of my tumbler. I'm not going to film that whole section because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, and I don't want to keep you here for 6 years while I do that. I did think it looked super cute at the bottom with all the glitter though. I thought it was just a cute little touch, and I personally loved how it looked. Then once I got it sealed, I went ahead and added my first 2 coats of epoxy. I use Flynn's Sister Supply Shop. I'll go ahead and link it in the description along with the discount code. It is the best epoxy on the market. It speaks for itself. Now, I did 1 coat, let it dry overnight, did another coat, let it dry overnight, and then I took a sander or a file. What are these called? A sanding block. I took a sanding block and just smoothed out the edges. Now, that was a tiny little glimpse of a lounge fly that I have that is HoneyDukes, and I thought it just looked so cute together. Now, I took white washi tape and I put the lines in between dividing the pink and the blue. I just thought that was a very nice touch. And then I went ahead and I grabbed my 3-dimensional frog, and I went ahead and I started painting it brown with acrylic paint because remember, this is supposed to be a chocolate frog. So I went ahead and painted it, and then I let it fully dry. Now, the cool thing about these 3-dimensional printed items is that you can actually just add a little bit of heat to it and help it mold to the specific size of your cup. So let's say that you're placing this frog onto your tumbler and you're like, this is not laying completely flat, or it's not molding completely to the shape of my tumbler. You can actually just hit this with a little bit of heat and it will go ahead and mold. Now, I just used regular brown matte paint. I am a huge fan of using matte acrylic paint because I feel like it dries a lot faster and it helps me move on with my project faster. I do have this very bougie, fancy handheld fan that I like to use and just help me dry my stuff a lot faster. But what I'm going to do next is I am putting this HoneyDukes decal on my tumbler. Now, let me tell you, baddies, it was incredibly hard to find these decals. I mean, no one on Etsy sells the HoneyDuke decal. I searched for hours, so I had to do some crazy things to be able to get this decal. Now, what you see me doing here is I am painting this with Mod Podge, and this is just to seal my decal and seal my pinstripes so that they don't repel the epoxy. But not to worry, baddies, even though I struggled to get this decal, once I had located it and cleaned it up, I went ahead and released a UVDTF, HoneyDukes UVDTF this weekend. So when you head over to my website, you will be able to grab this HoneyDukes decal in a UVDTF decal, and I even have 2 different styles that you can choose from if you don't like the plain banner that I used. Now, here you see me heating up the frog and putting it against the tumbler. This was to make sure that I could get it to mold exactly, and as you can see, you see me pushing the frog into the cup. Now, when you heat this up, you want to be gentle and not push down too hard and, deform your frog. When you heat it up, you're going to feel the plastic soften, and so you're going to be able to easily press it into the cup and just mold it perfectly. Now, once I had done that and my frog cooled down, I took some, what is this called? super tight. Wait, Fusion Tack? Yes, I took Fusion Tack, which is the glue that I always use for my rhinestones, and I put a thin coat at the bottom. Now, some of you might be thinking, that glue's not going to be strong enough for this. Sure it is. It's strong enough to hold rhinestones for years, so it's going to be strong enough to hold this. Not to mention, the frog is not a handle, so we're not going to ever hold on to the frog. So this glue is more than strong enough for this. Now, if I was attaching a handle, I would definitely be using something a lot stronger than this glue. Once my frog fully dried and the glue had completely dried and it cooled down, I went ahead and put it on my turner, and then I just heated it up one more time, just very quickly, just to make sure that I was completely molding it and that there were no gaps or anything. Once it had cooled down, I took my Flynn Sisters epoxy and I dipped my gloved finger into the container and just started putting epoxy all over the frog. Now, I decided to do the frog first because if the cup was spinning and I was trying to do the frog as the cup spins, I think that would have been super challenging and it would have taken me forever, and I don't think I would have been able to fully cover the frog. So I decided to do the frog first and make sure that I got it fully covered. I used my glove finger for as much as I could, but there are little sections that are really tiny and your fat finger is not going to get in there. So go ahead and just purchase some cheap paintbrushes, either from the Dollar Tree, from Amazon, anywhere, but make sure you use a paintbrush that you don't mind tossing, because this paintbrush will not work again after you use it. It's going to get super hard and you will need to toss it. So I just grabbed some at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just using this to get in those little nooks and crevices where in between the toes, in between the legs, and just make sure that I'm completely coating my frog in epoxy. Once I do that, I let the cup start spinning, and then with my finger, I just start applying epoxy to the rest of the cup. Now, as your cup is spinning, you do want to make sure that you're doing a very thin coat. And as you can see, you'll see me use my finger quite a bit to make sure that I'm removing some excess epoxy from in between the frog's legs and stuff like that, because you don't want your epoxy to pool. And anytime that you put an accessory on your cup, you run the risk of your epoxy puddling up and pooling, and that's not going to look very nice. So definitely just make sure that you're coming in there and cleaning everything up and removing any excess. Take your time. Definitely do not use facet for this, because you do want to have quite a bit of working time to make sure that you are perfecting the epoxy. And like I said, the main thing is you don't want to let it pool too much, because it's gonna look messy at the end. So I went ahead and just took my time, made sure I had a nice thin coat. Then I went ahead and torched it. A lot of people use a heat gun to pop bubbles. I don't recommend that, because what you're doing essentially is just overheating the epoxy and potentially making it bubble up or get dimples. I like to just torch it really fast, because that gas sucks up all the bubbles, and I don't let my flame hover over one section for too long. So I went ahead and I let this spin overnight. And then the next day I came back and added a second thin coat just to make sure that everything was perfect. And here's the final product. I'm obsessed with it. My husband already claimed this cup. He wants to take it to work with him. He is so cute. This is what it looks like all done. As you can see, the frog is not going anywhere. I hope you baddies love it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. I love you so much. Besitos.